Yeah.
Because, and you're also saying, that men suffer from physical abuse.
Yes.
That means women beat men.
Yes, that has happened. You have women who are perpetrators.
Natalie, we will have to. Welcome to the New Foundation Christian Ministries B1 Marriage Ministry video podcast. I am your host, Donald McFarlane, and with me
Is your co-host, Natalie Irving Mattocks. I want to thank our viewers for tuning in each week. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Foundation Christian Ministries. Follow us on Facebook at New Foundation Christian Ministries and like us on Instagram at B1 Marriage Ministry. Before we move on, Bishop, I just want to encourage our viewers to, send us your comments via YouTube. Remember, you can send them in the comment section. Let us know what you want to talk about. And we appreciate the feedback, so please continue to send your likes and your comments to us. I also want to just quickly say belated happy anniversary to Floyd and Swain McPherson, Shane and Nerisha Reed, and Reverend Glenville Henry and Karen Henry. Happy anniversary belated.
Very
Over
well.
to you, Bishop.
Thank you so much. Well, before we even get to our special guest,
Yes.
it would be remiss of me, producer George, not to read from my script that embodies this information. I am pleased to inform you that you are a successful candidate for this year's Governor General's Achievement Awards for continuous display of excellence and service to the development of your community and by extension our country. I'm speaking of none other than the PhD candidate, my co-host, Natalie Irving Mattocks.
Thank you so much.
Natalie, I am so proud of you and
you.
excited. I feel that I am in great company.
Yes, you are. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
I'm blushing.
Well, you truly deserve it.
Thank
Your contributions are so sterling.
Yes.
On another day, I'll interview you on the platform so we can get into all the details. But we thank you
Yes.
for that level of contribution you're making,
Yes.
in the landscape of, your community has said, and certainly across the nation. So that's a big plus for the B1 Marriage Ministry.
Yes.
All right, so we will get on to matters at hand as we have this very, am I permitted to say, attractive lady on this B1 Marriage Ministry platform. I can say it's a safe place.
It is a safe place.
It's a safe
Bishop.
place.
It is.
Very well. But Natalie, yours is an honor to just briefly introduce. We will elicit from Abby all that we need, but give us a sentence of introduction of Abby.
Yes, well, Abigail Clark is the Director of Policy and Research at the Bureau of Gender Affairs, and that is part of the Ministry of Culture, Gender and Entertainment and Sport. So we are delighted to have you, Abigail. I know you come with a wealth of experience, especially as it relates to matters related to violence in relationships and domestic violence and so on. I know you're doing your PhD in that area as well, in the area of gender studies. So we invite you to share with us, give us a little bit more, tell us a little bit more about you.
Yes.
Where were you born? And just journey a little bit before we dive into. We like to get comfortable and safe.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about you before we dive into the questions.
No problem. First and foremost, thank you for having me.
Sure.
It's my pleasure to be here. Okay, a little bit about Abby. So, as you stated earlier, I'm currently the Director of Policy and Research at the Bureau of Gender Affairs, which is a branch in the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport. Now, outside of Abby, in the work zone, gender is a passion for me. Persons always ask, how did you get into that field? And I would say, well, the field chose me. Because if anyone or any of my friends, family or otherwise, knew me before now, it would be that Abby's going to be an attorney. That was my passion. I'm going to the courtroom. I'm going to be a trailblazer in law. But while going to the University of the West Indies, law was pretty much, pretty expensive at that time. And coming from a single-parent family household, I had to do that major sacrifice and think of, in a scenario, my mom. So I started in humanities, and in my second year I said, you know what, I'm going to try and see if I can get into law. So I actually applied again, and I applied for international relations as well. And pretty much while I was going over to, I don't know how I even got over to that segment at UWI, but I was walking to go to think I was trying to find a class, and I got lost. And I came across Dr. Lee Dunn. I was asking her about the directions, and just pretty much by talking to her, she explained and introduced herself as Dr. Lee Dunn. She's the head of the Institute of Gender and Development Studies, and she asked me, are you a first year? And started talking, and I said, no, but I'm actually, applying for the years because I'm trying to figure out what exactly it is that I want to do, even though it's law, it's my passion. And right then and there, she started telling me about gender, where I could go, the importance of it, and that, I will be pretty much, I think at that time was the second year or third year doing the program. And it was just right then and there. I applied, she submitted, I got in, and I started. And from then, it's just gender. No turning back. Passionate about it, love it. Was an advocate for it.
Yes.
Yes, at the University of the West Indies, and that has spilled over now into my career. So
very well.
Yeah, very passionate about it.
Well, we want to dig more and learn more, as it will take us into your actual world of work. But just going back a little, you are from a single parent who, where you actually from?
Okay, so I'm from Kingston.
You're Kingston.
Yes, I'm from Kingston.
They like to say under the clock.
Under the clock,
Okay.
exactly under the clock.
Well,
Yes, under the clock.
And single
parent, yes, from my mom. And pretty much for that, persons often say, oh, do you miss not having a father? Has it affected you? And I can honestly say that it hasn't really affected me per se, because my mom did step up and play the role. But as you know, no one can play a father role. A mother cannot play a father. And you just have to be honest with that. So there are times, yes, growing up when you'd actually want that father figure there. But luckily for me, I got many male mentors throughout. Who were positive male figures who helped to mold and craft and fill that little area that my mother couldn't fill per se. Although if you ask her, she said she would fill it. But that's just her personality, and that's just what makes, who she is. And I'm glad for that, because that's what created and molded me into being the Abby I am today.
Well.
So, yeah. And I'm an only child for her. Not spoiled, just true.
Well, it's opportune for me to say that my daughter is Abigail as well.
Really?
And she's an only child.
Yes.
So you're trying to convince me that you're not spoiled.
Not spoiled.
Remember, I just told you I'm a parent.
Persons on the outside might say, because being an only child, that you get, things that would split in two for brothers and sisters, you just be you.
Exactly.
But also, my mom was a disciplinarian in terms of the fact that, she still is, but in terms of the fact that she wanted me to be something great. And she wanted me to push through all the obstacles, the challenges, and to just pretty much be the best me. So because of that, being an only child, and being a girl child, that's another layer there now,
Yes.
She just wanted me to just do my best and to accomplish as much as I can. So because of that, I'm grateful for the disciplinarian.
Sure.
And just because of me being an only child, we're pretty much close.
I can only imagine.
Really close.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So your alma mater would have been...
Immaculate Conception High School.
Wow. His daughter went immaculate.
Right, so
only child. Something is connected.
Yes.
Can you imagine that? So outside of academics, any involvement with us?
Yes, I'm big on volunteering. Yes, I'm big on that. And that, I think, is an element that helped to make my job even much easier for me to be passionate, because I like giving back and I like making change. Person to say a change agent, but for me, I just consider to be the person that actually wants the best for others and want to treat others just like how I want to be treated. So I volunteer through the Jamaica Red Cross. Actually started from prep school. I was in Red Cross, but I actively started to volunteer in high school and also in university, and I still do now. Yeah, so I volunteer to Jamaica Red Cross, currently the youth chairperson at the Kingston and St. Andrew branch. But with work and with everything, trying to do as much as I can career-wise, sometimes, it's in the back burner. But I still try to make the time to do that. And if I can't do it physically with Red Cross, I try to ensure that my job has an element that is giving back, that is motivating, that is empowering. So I still get it in the element, even though it's for career and work.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm big on that. I'm big on sports.
Sports?
Yes.
Tell me a little about that.
Yes, I'm very competitive with sports. I actually used to do high jump, long jump, big on track and field, netball. The only sport that kind of trying to conquer now is swimming.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and persons would say, "Oh, you going back later, you do there to swim."
They had a pool then or not? I don't know.
That's usually what the first thing for some kids, they can't swim.
Yes.
So for me, I would say, I can save myself per se, but for me, that's not swimming. And because I love adventures, like going to rivers and trying to find different falls across Jamaica and beaches, swimming is a criteria. So before COVID, I started learning to swim, but COVID came, and I'm now in the process of learning to swim, because it's a very essential skill to have. So that's something that I want to conquer as well. But volunteering, adventures, rivers, beaches, that type of thing that's happening outside of work.
So indeed a very rounded person. You strike as that. And earlier, Natalie, you alluded that Abby, you were a PhD candidate along the same course of gender.
Right.
Yes.
And once again, I can honestly say that, and I think too, when we look back at life and how we want our journey to be, we have to understand that God is in control and He knows where you're supposed to be.
Exactly.
So this is the second time that has happened. So the first time it happened was when I said adamant I wanted the law, but then God let me meet Dr. Dunn, and I go into what my destiny should be.
Yes.
Same thing would happen with my PhD. I know that I wanted to do my PhD from I was 16. I know that that's a goal that I set, but I just didn't know what the topic was going to be on or how am I going to do it. Worse, when I started to do my master's and it was rigorous, I was like, all right, this PhD dream looked like it's farther off and all of that. But I actually did a session work-wise, and it was with women who are deaf. And that was my first time interacting with persons living with disabilities, meaning work-wise. So we would work with persons, but to actually have a drill down, one-on-one session, communicating with them about gender-based violence. And it was at that session I was nervous to do it, because I was like, I don't want to go and step on anybody's toes, because I'm accustomed to presenting to persons who can hear, who can understand. And I was just kind of second guessing myself to see how I would bring it across without hurting them or feeling like they're discriminated against, because I'm big on that. So I pretty much just changed my presentation style, just tried to make sure that it had, the captions so that they could read, and there was an interpreter present. So I was very, very pleasantly surprised when I went, and it was one of my best sessions to date, because I got so much information, so much feedback, so much recommendation.
Was it like a focus group?
Yeah, so it was pretty much, they had a group session. It was through a project with Jamaica Association for the Deaf. And I helped them. I did presentations on intimate partner violence, human trafficking, issues that are affecting us here in Jamaica, but because they are, living with a disability, they're oftentimes probably not included in these conversations. Because you'd have to get an interpreter, you'd have to get, so that dynamics is what sometimes eliminates them from being a part of, this fight against gender-based violence. So at the end of the session, I decided that, listen, I'm going to definitely make sure that from now on, persons with disabilities are included. So I'm the focal point at Bureau of Gender Affairs, where I try to incorporate every aspect of our program. So if we're having sessions, a conference, a workshop, persons with disabilities have to be invited. Either persons who are deaf, persons who are blind, but we have to ensure that they're included in the conversation. And it was from there I went back at UA, and I saw that the closing date for the MPhil PhD program was
Yes.
the same day I'm looking at the website, and I'm like, wait, what is this? Why I had to see this? Why couldn't I have 2 extra days? So I submitted, and I got through, and I had to do an interview. Mindless to say, before that interview, I bawled because I had so much work obligations, and I was just flustered going in, and I'm like, Lord, how am I going to manage? But when I went to the interview, I just spoke from my heart. So they asked me questions as to why I choose a topic, and I just spoke. I'll be honest. I was like,
Right.
the topic told me.
Right.
I feel like this is just my mission to just
Right.
help persons, living with disabilities, and I think the starting point is with women who are deaf, because based on the feedback and stuff like that.
Right.
And I started the journey. I started to work with persons who are blind. And I changed it to say, so even though it's not for women who are deaf, it's for women who are blind, but it's still a starting research that can
Right.
help to the community on a whole. So that's what I'm focusing on.
Can't help,
Very impactful.
yeah.
Page.
and can't help but to probe a bit, Abby, because there seems to be this streak. It's not necessarily small, but just a thread line that runs seemingly through your life, where you're looking. Although people say it's only child is selfish, but you have this same insatiable passion and appetite for the less fortunate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
You know that.
Yes, I
Right.
think it's something that persons would say it's up close and it can be something bad because I give my all for
Yes.
it. And sometimes I take it on a lot, meaning so I take on the emotional aspect and the physical, all of it.
Okay.
And then I'm not going to stop until I make sure I help as much person as possible.
Yeah.
So growing up, I actually had to realize that I can't help everyone in one day.
Right.
But if I can help one person in the one day, that's still contributing to
Yes.
helping others, because
Yes.
each one can help one. So I just have to
Yes.
try to keep that mantra. But yes, I'm very passionate about people helping others, giving back. I love that.
And the community at Immaculate certainly offer the platform for you to be involved in these different things.
Yes, it does.
But certainly, as you pay tribute to your mom, something must have been birthed in you, because that's your first place of socialization, to generate this very distinct and commendable quality of
Yes.
looking outside of yourself.
Exactly.
Yes, very, very admirable.
Yes.
Because,
Yeah,
just speak.
Yes.
That's powerful.
And you can tell, because my mom is similar to that. She loves help others. She loves giving back. She
Oh,
loves
that's where
She's
it
just
comes
like
from.
that.
Yeah.
And if you ask her,
Yeah.
funny enough, if you asked her, because in prep school I used to do sports, and it's actually when I went to high school I stopped doing sports, and I started to go heavily in my passion, which is volunteering.
Right.
So I was in 4 clubs. So for every day of the week I was doing some form of service. And if you ask her now, she would say, yeah man, I be give up sports and track, and could I be the next Shelley and Fraser Prize, but she give it up for volunteering and stuff like that,
Okay.
But that was just a big part of my life, and
Yes.
I like that aspect of mom as well. She
Yeah.
mirrors that. She likes giving back, she likes helping others and stuff like that. So,
Indeed.
That's
Great.
good. Powerful. Yeah,
Well,
love
this is quite a backdrop
Yes.
to you, Abby.
Oh, Lord.
And well, certainly, she's a director of policy and research,
Yes.
the Bureau of Gender,
Gender
Affairs.
affairs. Yes.
So you kind of shape the way some things go by virtue of policy, and your disposition to research, I'm sure, would have captured quite a bit on the landscape of this very interesting thing that we're going to delve into, of domestic violence.
Yes.
And stroke. You will make a differentiation for us if that is encompasses like IPV, intimate
Yes.
partner violence, are they distinct. But great talking to you so far, and you know that actually we're not going to talk much on that, but Abby is not yet married. She's on the B1
Right.
Marriage Ministry video podcast, but we'll leave it at that.
Leave it at that. I don't think
right.
she's looking.
No. So don't make any queries of us. We just wanted to say that and to commend you. Yes. But take us then. Did you say before, as director of policy and research, which they're twin together because research would inform the policy and so on. How do we understand the definition of, shall we say, Domestic
violence, yes.
Oh.
Yes, for.
So I'm glad you said domestic violence at first, because sometimes persons use domestic violence and intimate partner violence interchangeably.
Right.
No, they're both under the broad heading gender-based violence, right? But domestic violence is the broad, coming from gender-based violence, you have domestic violence. And intimate partner violence is a form of domestic violence.
Right.
So pretty much domestic violence is any violent act that occurs between persons who are related either by blood, marriage, or by law, right? And pretty much under domestic violence, you now have 4 forms of it. You have child abuse, sibling abuse, elder abuse, which is not spoken about a lot, but it is happening. And then you have the most common one that persons hear, which is spousal abuse or intimate partner violence. So intimate partner violence comes under domestic violence. Alright, so the definition now of intimate partner violence, that is behavior by an intimate partner or an ex-partner. And I want to reinforce the point of ex-partner, because you find that sometimes the victims do leave the perpetrator and they are still faced with these incidents that happen, right? They still face the abuse. So it's not just a current or intimate partner you're with, it can be an ex-partner as well. And pretty much it is that intimate partner or ex-partner that causes harm, either physical, sexual, financial, or emotional harm to the victim. So that's what intimate partner violence is.
Oh, interesting. Well, I know we'll get into the fine-tune of it as to how you might. I know the reality of emotional abuse. I don't know if it's quantifiable by your own research. That would be very interesting to see what it shows over on that side. But when you say gender, there's an expression of gender abuse.
Well, not gender.
Gender-based violence. Right.
Gender-based violence, the broad-headed.
Right. Well, I don't want to put my ideas and understanding and interpretation.
I think I know where
but
you're going.
But when somebody says that, what jumps out?
Always against women.
And that's not true.
And that's not so.
That's not true. And I want to take this opportunity to reinforce the point.
Yes.
That violence happens to men and women. When
Yes.
you use the term victim, it's not about women and girls. It's about men and boys. And that's a very important point that we want persons to understand. But because of our cultural dynamics that defines our masculinity and femininity, especially here in Jamaica, right? Things that from even before you're born, your parents start to socialize you to be, schools start to socialize, the workplace, the church start to socialize you. So men are supposed to be tough. Men are not supposed to be emotional. You're not supposed to complain. You're not supposed to feel pain.
Yes.
And there's no way that a woman can abuse you because you're the man. Because of those cultural negative stereotypes that attach, you find that men suffer in silence, boys suffer in silence, and they don't report it. When it's not reported, it's not captured in data, because that's what you use to get data, statistics from reports, from research. And if you're not having reports, then quote unquote, it's not happening. Person to say, but it is happening.
It's happening.
It's happening. Men are abused, women are abused. And as we go deeper, you will see, because persons will say that men aren't abused because they're not experiencing physical abuse, right? But they experience emotional abuse.
Yes.
They experience sexual abuse as well. And they experience financial abuse.
Which we very rarely talk about these issues, you know?
So, Abby, you are saying from your research,
and from lived experiences that we have gotten from persons.
From persons.
Sessions.
Right. Testimonials.
Yes.
That men experience sexual abuse.
Yes. And the term
whatever that is.
Right. The term just sounds big, bad and scary.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's just saying only women can experience that. But sexual abuse is pretty much when your partner forces you to engage in uncomfortable sexual activity.
You'll have to hold it right there.
Yeah.
Because, and you're also saying that men suffer from physical abuse.
Yes.
That means women beat men.
Yes, that has happened. You have women who are perpetrators.
Natalie, we will have to.
No, these are some real good conversation that we're having, and I'm happy that we're having it, Bishop.
In this Jamaica here today. Macho men.
These are this is a national issue, international issue, global issue, but we are afraid to address them. So I am happy to be here, Bishop. Happy to be here with you, Abigail.
We'll have to take that in the next session
Yes.
when Abigail Clark is going to take us into in-depth understanding from empirical research and testimonials as it relates to violence, gender-based violence. Violence, I'm interested to make it loud, against men.
Yes.
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 Who are sexually abused.
Yes. And physically
And physically abused.
by
Emotional.
women.
By women.
Yes.
Financial.
And financial.
And financial, yes. I'm happy she mentioned the financial too.
Yes.
I want to hear some more about that. So,
Yes.
yes, Bishop, I agree.
Producer
Interesting.
George will have to hold it at this time and come again when in live and living colors, in the greatest of detail. This resourceful person in Abigail is going to take us into these deeper matters. Natalie?
Yes, I want to thank our viewers for watching. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Foundation Christian Ministries. Follow us on Facebook at New Foundation Christian Ministries. Like us on Instagram at B1 Marriage Ministry. Thank you, our producer George, Malcolm Walker. Really want to big up our sponsor, Mattox Health and Fitness. Thanks to our program director, Minister Damian De Aguilar. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Next time.